Good evening, race fans, and welcome here to Bristol for tonight's Bristol 175. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me, as always, is Chris Wright. Chris, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing tonight, Robert?
Doing well, buddy. Since this is Bristol, doesn't take long to pace. We're going to jump right into the points. Tyler Fody currently 38 points to the good. Trey Eidson, 9 to the good. 6 to the good is Ethan Stanley. 3 for Justin Fuller. And then 3 points back, Matthew Weeks. 4 back is Scott Crump. 7 back, Chad Frankenfield. 10 back, Ethan Burrell. And 11 back, Garrison Hogan. You're going to see all the playoff drivers indicated in yellow on our scoring pylon tonight, and one of those playoff drivers is Ethan Burrell, and he is our pole sitter here tonight. As we take a look at the starting grid, just of note here, we're going to have to send Tate Lytle to the rear of the field for a banner violation. So he's going to go to the rear as we walk through our starting grid here. Ethan Burrell, Chad Frankenfield, the front row. Braxton DeWeese, David Tooker, row number 2. Ethan Stanley, Scott Crump, row 3. Trey Eidson, Garrison Hogan, row number 4, with Matthew Weeks and Josh Adams, row number 5. Chris, why don't you walk us through to position number 20?
All right, we got Tyler Fody back there in the Leighton regard in 11th and 12th. Swapped those two. I set them backwards, so Leighton and then Fody, 11th and 12th. Tyler Pop, Jeff Green, Trey Holmes run up the top 15. You got Jonathan Cutlip, Joe Francis, Gerald Campbell, Jesse Racimus, Dustin Dewar, Brandon Key, Casey Hatch, David Carpenter, and Seth Rawls round out the guys who qualified.
Just behind them is going to be Justin Fuller, Johnny Thomas, Vincent Isabella, Jaden Racimus, and Tate Lytle. Lytle falling to the rear for a banner violation as the drivers have taken to the racetrack, currently on their way off of pit road. It's going to be Ethan Burrell and Chad Frankenfield again here on the front row, and we talked about this off air tonight, Chris. We're going to do an over-under for caution count this evening. Let's set the bar at 10 cautions. You going over or you going under?
I'm taking the over.
I am also going to go with the over here tonight. I definitely think we're going to be likely in the 14, 15 range, maybe even higher. Looks like we are going to get set to go green next time by. Again, Frankenfield, the control car. Doesn't look like Jaden Racimus is going to start on the track. He's going to start pit side. And Chris, tonight, single pit road, so a little bit different because you do have to go the whole way around.
Now. We've done it long enough now. Like it's. I can't remember the last time we didn't do single pit road. So
I do want to point one thing out here. We've done 4 races here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series at Bristol with the single pit roads. We've had 2 winners, Tyler Fody with 2 and Josh Adams with 2. Pace cars off. We're getting set to go green here. Ethan Burrell, the control car. Barney, the flagman, has the green flag in hand. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway.
Pretty good start there up front. Chad's going to try to stay to the outside of Ethan. We didn't pick a winner there. Who you got to win? Oh, Braxton DeWeese is around in the front. And nobody's going to hit. Oh, Joe Francis.
Seth Rawls, Dave Carpenter, numerous guys involved in that one. That's going to be a stack up towards the rear. Justin Fuller going down pit road. Justin.
Wow.
Justin Fuller with an issue there. Just to note, Joe Francis, Seth Rawls, both with meatball penalties there. That is required damage for those drivers. Unfortunate.
I'm going to tell you this. I want to tell you this. We are quick to call out people when they do something wrong, as we saw last week. But Braxton DeWeese did a great job holding the brake. Everybody else recognized that he was holding the brake and went around him on each side. No one hit him. Now, the 35 spun, and they wrecked on the apron. But for the most part, that was a great job by everybody involved.
We're going to go take a look at what happened a little bit further back with those drivers not necessarily caught up in the main incident, just to see if we can get a look at what happened.
Man, I think there was some netcode between Joe Francis and Jesse Racines.
Just a bit of a chain reaction, honestly, Chris, and it's unfortunate for those guys. They're all trying to avoid Joe Francis, who goes around. Multiple guys just checking up, and it is going to be a tally on Braxton DeWeese for the lap 1 incident. So that,
and I'm going to tell you what, Justin Fuller is lucky Seth Rawls was out there, because I think he was going to hit those barrels pretty hard, but he bounced off Seth and just barely clipped him.
Yeah, Justin Fuller definitely going to have to... Seth Rawls mentioning that I jinxed him, and I am going to apologize to Seth Rawls for that. I had put a thing out on the Elite Racing Network Twitter page telling people to let us know where Seth Rawls was going to finish, and the closest to the correct answer without going over would get a firm handshake from Seth Rawls himself. Well,
so who do you got to win? We didn't
Seth's
make race
on pit
picks
road.
yet.
I'm gonna let you go first because I think mine's
No, if I ask first. No. You go first.
My pick to take the victory here tonight is going to be none other than driver of the number 27 machine, Braxton DeWeese.
Oh, that is... Man, he just wrecked, right? You remember that?
I know. I saw it. I used my own 2 eyes and yours.
I'm going to take the short track ace here. I think this guy's good at every
short track ace. Okay.
But he always finds a way to lose.
You talking about Mr. JA56?
I'm talking about the 90 of Scott Crump. He always finds a way to lose these short track races at the end, but he's always real fast.
Green flag back out, and we are back underway. Chris Wright taking Scrumpy here tonight.
Yep.
We're going to kind of watch. We're just going to do a lot of scanning here tonight, guys. Checking throughout the field, see what's going on. Try to...
You know what I see here? Oh, Jesse Racines around. Casey Justin Fuller.
Justin Fuller.
Justin Fuller's done, boys.
Dave Carpenter in that one, too. Wow.
Yeah, that's meatballs on Casey Hatch, Seth Rawls, Justin Fuller, and Jesse Racines.
Racines just loses it behind the 28 machine. Nearly clip, or he does clip. Vincent Isabella slides up the racetrack. I want to give credit, though, to Jesse Racines. Very quick to take credit for that incident. Unfortunate for Justin Fuller coming around, gets into the back of Hatch, and then Carpenter goes deep into the rear of Justin Fuller as well.
What is Justin's point situation?
Let's pop those points right back up on the screen. Justin Fuller.
He didn't win last week, did he?
Justin Fuller was the bubble driver, 3 points to the good. This is only race 1 of this round, though, Chris.
Well, this isn't how you want to start the round if you're Justin Fuller, because his night's over. What a start. What a start to this race for Justin Fuller. Is he the only playoff guy that's been in trouble?
Thus far, yes. He is the only playoff driver to get in trouble, but a couple guys kind of are deep in the field. We're going to keep the points back up here once again. We'll take a quick gander at all of our playoff guys, starting with our points leader, Tyler Fode, currently running in the 9th spot. Trey Eidson, 2nd in points, 6th on the racetrack currently. Ethan Stanley, 3rd, but he's running 4th. Justin Fuller was the bubble driver, currently finds himself on pit road, not in very good shape at all. Matthew Weeks running 7th on the racetrack, 6th in points. Chad Frankenfield 3rd in points, scored 7th. Ethan Burrell, the eighth car in points, currently leading, and Garrison Hogan finds himself back in 8th. So, looking at the scoring tower, almost all of our playoff drivers, actually all of our drivers that are in the playoffs, with the exception of Justin Fuller, are currently scored in the top 10.
Yeah, that's not good for Fuller.
Just to point out here, the 15 of Frankenfield has done a bit of blinking, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that throughout the next portions of this race. Currently 13 laps in, 163 to go. And Chris, just another note here, typically we do award a bonus point at halfway to the leader. As of today's race, so the first race of the round of 9, that is no longer a bonus point that is offered.
What's no longer a bonus point offered?
Leader at halfway.
Okay. Well, here we go. The field is doubled up once again. Yeah, it's Carpenter, but it's too late. Way too late. Great oh, Scott Crumps into Trey Eidson! Garrison Hogan
into the wall.
They're reckoning the pack around Tate Lytle as well.
Tate Lytle has an issue there with Dustin Durr. They're able to continue on.
Hey, something happened here. You cleared Justin Fuller's black flag, and he had a big...
He was on the racetrack.
Was he?
Yeah, Fuller was out on the racetrack. He passed Dave Carpenter because Carp wasn't caught up. I took a look at that first, Chris, before clearing it. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I found it. I was like, hey, wait a minute. What's going on here?
No, we're good. So Ethan Burrell is your leader. David Tooker trying to run him down. Tooker and Tyler Popper, the two non-playoff drivers, currently scored inside the top 10. Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Stanley, Scott Crump currently rounding out that top 5. Then it's Garrison Hogan, Matthew Weeks, Tyler Fody, Trey Eidson, and Tyler Pop. Pop got a little bit squirrely there. Seeing Vincent Isabella falling back as Gerald Campbell goes by the high side of John Cutlip. Shout out to John. Picked up a cup victory this past week. His first one as he goes by Vincent Isabella in the 82 car. That Mac 82 currently falling back up there on the high side. One thing to point out, Chris, and I think I might jinx it with this. Once they do get into a run and get some green flag racing going, they're going to tick off laps very, very quickly, but they're also going to scrub those tires a fair bit as well. So that's one thing to watch throughout the event. We're going to take a look back here. Josh Adams currently catching up to Tyler Pop and Trey Eidson. Adams, of course, he's trophy hunting. That's what he's here to do. He's here to try to run down victories and virtual trophies as Jeff Green looks to his high side, not able to get there that time. Jeff Green going to fall in line behind Josh Adams. Never mind, he's going to dive back up to the high side.
Yeah, I think Josh is trying to work the bottom here. I think he thinks that's going to be the...
Josh Adams, again, like I mentioned, Chris, one of only 2 winners here in 4 races that we have run at this racetrack. Just an update here. Joe Francis has taken it behind the wall, called it a day. He is done for the night. So Joe Francis, one of just 2 drivers out of the event thus far, including Seth Rawls. We also have Jesse Racimus and Casey Hatch currently scored on pit road. Justin Fuller, 3 laps down. I have a suspicion that his engine might not last this whole event. We'll keep an eye on that, and that will be very unfortunate for Fuller, but he has shown time and time again that he is one of the stronger drivers here in this Rebilas Photography Grand National Series, so he'll be one to watch throughout the round nonetheless. As we look behind Ethan Burrell here, David Tooker taken to the high side, Chad Frankenfield there as well. Frankenfield going to be one to watch. I think he's going to be very aggressive towards the tail of this one. Just to point here, Dave Carpenter has taken it pit side as well in the number 71 machine, as Ethan Stanley closing in on the rear end of the Chad Frankenfield machine. We are going to jump actually in car here with Ethan Stanley, but we're going to go with the gyro cam and see some of the banking here at Bristol.
Yeah, and you talked about Josh Adams a little bit ago, about him being really good here and Tyler Fody being really good here. Those two guys will stay on the bottom a lot longer than everybody else, because that's where you save the best tire. It's just so hard to stay down there when the speed's at the top.
It's definitely not the easiest racetrack to navigate through. It can be tough. It's deceiving because you look at it and you're like, all right, it's just a big old bowl. You could just kind of stay on the gas and dig, but that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, the banking's different on the bottom than it is up the racetrack.
Now, if you did like a run what you brung event here and put a big old wing on the side of these cars, you could definitely go flat foot and just coast around the track, but definitely not in these Rebilas Photography Grand National cars tonight. Trey Eidson seems to be falling backwards. Josh Adams gets
look at
by
that damage
him.
on the back of that car.
Yeah, he's missing the entire rear end of that car as Jeff Green goes on by. We're going to jump back up front, though. The leaders navigating by the Justin Fuller machine. We'll keep an eye on Fuller in that 55 as he falls back. Looks like the top four able to clear just fine. Scott Crump coming up to the rear end of the Justin Fuller machine now as well. Crump quietly holding on to a top 5 position thus far, as we are on a nice 27 lap run here. Tires are going to come into play a little bit later if we do get a long green flag run. Fuel, I think you're probably looking around, I don't know, what would you say, Chris, lap 90? Maybe lap 100?
They could probably run to about 10 or 15 to go on fuel.
Yeah, so you can go quite a while on these cars. As Josh Adams all over the rear end of the Tyler Pop machine. Now he takes to the inside. Joshua Adams showing why he's one of the drivers to watch here every time we come out to Bristol. Jeff Green just behind him. He's taken to the high side, not able to get there. Giving a shout out here to a Leighton Norgard. Was eliminated from the playoffs last week, but running strong in his number 12 here for Abbott Motorsports. Old Pork Chop owning that team. Corey Abbott, one of the good guys in the garage, helped push him to a victory at Daytona, I think 2 seasons ago in the trucks. So always cool to see the Abbott cars out here. Chad Frankenfield takes a little whip and rip into the wall. Tyler Fody now falling back, gets passed by Matthew Weeks. Actually, Weeks battling on the inside. Fody trying to hold the high side, not quite able to pull away quite yet from the Matthew Weeks machine, but they are coming up on Justin Fuller. And anytime you have a lap car here at Bristol, they definitely come into play if you're in the middle of a battle.
Yeah, and Fuller, like you said, he did not have near as much required as I thought he would. And you said you didn't think his engine was going to last, but still trucking around out here. So.
He is 4 laps down, Chris, so depending on if he gets any more substantial
Wrecking here on the back, Gerald
impacts,
Campbell, Brandon Key.
aggressive soup goes around, or as people like to say, aggressive goes around. By the way, Casey Hatch has cleared his meatball flag. Let's take a look.
And it looks like these two cars came together. I think Gerald thought Key was going to be a little close to the wall. And Key was off the wall pretty good bit. There was enough room up there for somebody else to be between Key and the wall.
To me, it looks like the 20 comes down, the 31 goes up. I'm going to rule this a racing deal, Chris, just based off of that fact of the 20 being down off the wall, the 31 coming up. Unfortunately for Braxton DeWeese comes into the back of that. Yes, there was some net code there as well that definitely comes into play. Just from that view, you can't really see it, but that is how it's going to be ruled here on lap 42.
And I think everybody's going to pit here as well. Here comes everybody down the pit road. Like you mentioned, it's a single pit road out here, so everybody's coming around to the front stretch. Well, not everybody, but everybody up front right now. Everybody comes into the pit box there. See if Ethan Burrell can hold the lead. The 82 is the first car off the pit road. Burrell will win the race off pit road as far as 4 tires.
Well,
that 82 car did not stop in a pit box.
I'm going to take a look here, Chris, just at Vincent Isabella's time on pit road.
I just watched him. He didn't stop in a box.
I believe he likely just... I can't find his visit to pit road, but it does appear that he missed his stall. He's going to come down this time. Ethan Burrell going to take back over that race lead, and we are going to step away just for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have continued coverage of the Bristol 175 from Bristol. Don't go anywhere.
Isn't easy, but experiencing it is.
Apologies for cutting that iRacing commercial short, but we are going to get back to Green Flag Racing here momentarily, thanks to our friends at TA Services, as well as Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan as pace cars off. Ethan Burrell getting ready to find the loud pedal as we are back underway, Chris, right?
Yeah, back to green. Great start up at the front. Everybody back rolling. Everybody's going to go to the end from here if there's not any more cautions. Chad trying to sneak up in front of Stanley. He will.
We're definitely going to have to keep an eye on this, Chris, as I wouldn't be shocked if we see another caution here tonight. Hey, there it is.
It's
Jaden Racimus. We'll take a look at that one, see what just happened to the 07 of Jaden Racimus here on lap number 50. Gets to the inside of Brandon Key, checks up mid-corner, goes for a solo slide, and that brings out the caution.
I'm really surprised that brought out a caution. That car didn't really...
I think it was the angle that his car was at on the racetrack.
I'm not sure. Did it get hit? I mean, I guess it did get past that 45-degree angle mark that I think most people assume iRacing uses. It was right at 45 degrees, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't... These drivers love each other. We're going to throw that iRacing commercial up real quick since we had to cut it off, but we'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back. Also have to thank our partners at Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois, home to a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today, Chris, right? And we are currently, I believe the lights are off on the pace car. Hard to see with the glare from this racetrack. No, we are not. I believe we'll see the white this time. Yes. All right. We're getting set to go green this time, Chris Wright. And about a third of the way through the event, 121 laps to go, 55 laps down. Ethan Burrell.
Dino?
I'm not sure. I believe Rebilas would have been in Arizona, probably shooting the NASCAR finale, or in Charlotte shooting the dirt track nationals at Charlotte that just wrapped up. As pace car going to get set to make his way down pit road. There goes our pace car driver tonight again. Dave Huckleberry driving the pace car as we are underway once again. Ethan Burrell with a great restart. David Tooker just behind him. Tooker takes a look to the high side. Just behind him is where we find Ethan Stanley on the high side. Chad Frankenfield down low. Here comes Garrison Hogan as Chad slides up in front of Scott Crump. That usually doesn't go over too well, but Crump catches a bit of a break there. Just an update, Gerald Campbell, currently the only driver serving any sort of penalty at this point. A meatball flag as he is taking it pit side in his number 31 aggressive soup machine. Side-by-side battle is on. That is for position number 5. Scott Crump up top, Garrison Hogan down low. Hogan gonna slide back a little bit now. Fody to his outside. Josh Adams coming here very quickly, currently up into that 8th position as Hogan going to look for a hole to get up to the high side. There he goes, able to work his way up there as we see a tight battle for 12th. It's Trey Holmes on the high side, Tyler Popp down on the inside, just ahead of them. Matthew Weeks to the inside of Jeff Green. Weeks working his way back into the top 10 and trying to work his way forward to find the rest of his comrades from the playoffs. But one thing I noticed here, Chris, and I don't know if you noticed it yet, another playoff driver has fallen a lap down, and it is a very strong playoff driver in the 77 of Trey Eidson.
And that's a teammate to Fuller. Those two guys are team. Not the start of this round that they wanted here tonight at Bristol. We saw Trey get his damage early on, so
it looks like he got it fixed up, because you look at the rear of the car. There is a rear of the car now. He was able to get some damage fixed up here. We're watching the battle for 8th between Jeff Green and Joshua Adams. Adams on the inside, Jeff Green up on the high side. They keep duking it out for position. And speaking of position, with Gerald Campbell's damage, that has allowed Justin Fuller to work his way up into the 23rd position. but he is 7 laps down at this point. So like you mentioned, not the start to this round that you would have wanted if you're the Aftermath Motorsports team of Trey Idson and Justin Fuller, as a Leighton Norgard goes by Josh Adams up here on the high side. Norgard currently running 9th. Adams falling back to that 10th spot. Next car to catch Josh Adams will be Matthew Weeks, as Weeks tries to work his way back to the top 10.
And I think both those guys, if you look what they're doing, look at everybody in front of them running the top, trying to run hard right now.
These guys
and that
are
might be
conserving.
the way to do it, because we're getting cautions pretty frequent, so you're going to be able to come in and get more tires. But everybody behind Josh Adams, Weeks, you look at Trey, you look back there at the 13
exactly.
to 2, all these guys are just running the bottom. Well, here goes 13
As you say that, Tyler Pop goes to the high side. He pops off. But I was going to say, if ever you're looking to see what the drivers are doing to save tires, watch Trey Holmes. He always does whatever he can to save the tires. You'll see him almost put himself a lap down at some points, as he nearly got hooked. Justin Fuller about to go an additional lap down, as Ethan Burrell going to catch him. But Trey Holmes known to save tires, as a very loud car just drove past the booth. It got loud up here. Tyler Pop trying not to let him here. And Tate Lytle going to dive to the inside of Tyler Pop here as well. Not quite able to get there. Tyler Pop has been involved in an issue earlier tonight with I believe it was the Jesse Racimus deal. Got a little bit of damage there. Justin Fuller did just go an additional lap down. He's on the inside of Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield currently running 4th. Ethan Stanley 3rd. David Tooker 2nd. Ethan Burrell is the leader. Next car to go by Justin Fuller will be the 90 of Scott Crump. He has Tyler Fode just behind him, and Garrison Hogan not too far behind them as well. Jeff Green, Leighton Norgard, and Josh Adams rounding out the top 10 as they run here. Lap 72 now. 72 in the books, 103 laps remain here as we cross over to lap 73 on the day.
And you're starting to see it. That bottom's starting to pick the pace back up. Josh is driven right back up to the 12. I think the 11 still saving tires pretty hard. I look for Weeks to be real good here. Trey Holmes. The 13 moved to the top to try to pass these guys back there, and he's just holding station. So that tells me the bottom has started to become pretty good here.
Taking a look a little bit further back, Justin Fuller continuing his descent through the field. Matthew Weeks and Trey Holmes now putting him that extra lap down. Tyler Pop all over the rear end of Trey Holmes here. I wonder if maybe they had an issue earlier today. As Pop seems to not want to get away from Trey Holmes here whatsoever, but that's just good, hard, short track racing here at Bristol, as we see Chad Frankenfield taking to the inside of Ethan Stanley. This might get a little bit tight here. The drivers are not known necessarily to give Chad any extra room, even though sometimes you might feel the need to with some of the aggressive moves that Chad is not afraid to make. But Chris, it's paid off for him year after year. Chad Frankenfield always finds himself as one of the guys to watch when it comes to the playoffs. Hasn't necessarily had that success in recent years that he's been looking for in the playoffs, but always finds himself in the picture.
Yeah, and he's always usually pretty aggressive, so maybe he dials that back and it's a little better round for him.
Absolutely, and his partners must like what he's doing. He's had kicking the tires on board with him here for, I believe it's been a couple calendar years, which in sim racing...
And he needs to change that too, because you can't even see it.
Yeah.
It needs to pop a little bit better.
Especially at the night races, it's really hard to see that sponsor on the car, but it is kicking the tires. Let's pop it up here on our little overlay that we have. You can't even really see it there. So definitely going to have to talk to Chad about maybe getting an outline around that kicking the tires, because they do have a nice logo as you see the field go on by Brandon Key. And be sure to check out Kicking the Tires. They have some great coverage over there. Seth Eggert sometimes covers our races. I'm sure he's going to be around for the championship event as well, so that's going to be something to watch. As we have a gaggle of cars here Jaden Racimus, Vincent Isabella up on the high side. They're lap cars. John Cutlip and Braxton DeWeese there on the inside. They're towards the tail of the lead lap cars. Currently, Trey Eidson there as well, trying to get himself a lap back. He takes a gander 3 wide, not going to do it, thinks better of it. I would think better of that as well, as 3 wide, not usually something you want to do here at Bristol unless you absolutely have to. But as you can see, all these cars under a blanket in various situations as Jaden Racimus gets a little bit slideways on the racetrack. Vincent Isabella gonna go up to the high side, thinks better of that as well, gets back in line. This might be the site of our next caution here, Chris, just seeing how some of these drivers are handling the racetrack and some of the moves the drivers are making to try to get around some of the traffic that's not necessarily going the same pace as they are.
Yeah, they just let Brandon Key up here towards the front. But one thing I do want to talk about, okay? Look at second and third. These 2 drivers, they've got quite the history, and it's fresh history. It's
They have history, but I think Ethan Stanley, well, I know Ethan Stanley definitely has a lot more to lose than David Tooker does in this situation. And I think Stanley's the one that has a bit more of a grudge right now than David Tooker does, so I wouldn't expect anything to really develop from that here tonight. Maybe an extra bump to move the 19 out of the way.
I think if he gets into the 19, the war is on, or the battle. The war probably won't end tonight, but the Battle of Bristol will be on if there's contact.
Absolutely. Just behind them, that's another potential war that could happen if something goes down here.
Ooh, Scott Crump
gets a little bit sideways. He's going to fall back behind his teammate, Tyler Fody. May get passed by Garrison Hogan as well as he's falling back to him. I believe these drivers starting to get a little bit loose as caution's out here. It's Dustin Dewar and Jesse Racimus involved in that one.
And Jaden Racimus.
Let's take a look, see what happened.
Oh, okay. So it looks like it starts with Jaden. Jaden comes off a 2. Oh, and Vince just picks him up there, gets into him. And then gets into him again. Vince must have been mad about something. I'm not sure what he was mad about, but Vince was not happy with something. And just wrecked a bunch of them over there.
Yeah, taking a look at that one here. I'm just backing it up a little bit. You know, Chris, I mentioned a couple laps ago that this might be the site of our next caution. Jaden Racimus running a couple different lines compared to what Vincent Isabella does. Came up in front of the 82 of Isabella off the corner. Isabella had a run up on the wall. The 07 does come up in front of him. The 82 gets into the back of him, and then I believe the 07 was just trying to gather it up going into the corner, and Vincent Isabella just may have gotten into the tail of him there.
Oh, yeah, Vince was trying to wreck him. Okay, I found it. So Vince had been trying to pass him, and I think he was just frustrated that he couldn't get around him. And he just decided to drive through him. You can't do that. Especially a lapper. You know, Vince is a lap car right there. And Jaden's on the lead lap. You can't just drive through a guy, because now he took away the lucky dog from himself, too. Not a very heads-up smart decision there by Vince. That's not very smart racing right there.
Definitely unfortunate there for Jaden Racimus. He is definitely picking up a bit more damage than he would have wanted. But yeah, you are correct there. Tally issued to Vincent Isabella.
All the leaders chose to pit. Burrell's going to keep the lead. Tooker. Stanley. Chad, Crump, Garrison. Looks like Trey has chose to stay out here and try to get a wave, so he's looking for another quick caution. I think if I had a way to communicate with Trey, I'd tell him to go ahead and pit because I think Vince got a good bit of damage there. I think he could easily get the lucky dog, be in that lucky dog spot.
Yeah, Vincent Isabella coming back out. Brandon Key has damage as well. Key was able to get himself back on the lead lap with a wave around there.
Yeah, Key just blended straight up on the track. He's going to have a black flag for that.
So the lights are off on the pace car. We're getting set to go green here already. So Key will have an EOL already from the lucky dog, so he's going to be at the tail anyways. If he is issued a black flag, he'll get that cleared just because he is already at the tail of the field.
Great start for Burrell. The rest of the inside line does not take off nearly as good.
I do want to point out, actually, no penalty issued to Brandon Key. So he must have merged at the cone. We just didn't see it that way, but...
Ooh, Scott Crump trying to clear himself in front of a late Norgard, and nah, but he's going to down here.
He's going to clear himself up again. Gerald Campbell has rejoined the race, currently sitting on pit road, 38 laps down. Not sure if he'll come back onto the race.
Contact between Crump and
Adams.
And Adams. Adams is around. Caution's going to come out. Looks like Scott was going to run. Scott was thinking Josh was going to go run the very bottom.
So in this one, Chris, the 56 of Adams is holding his position here, and the 90 of Crump comes down into him. Tally's going to be issued to Scott Crump.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of see that as more of a racing deal. I'm friends with Josh, as it's well known. But I think he just thought Josh was going to go run the bottom. I guess if you have to, if it's going to be black and white, yeah, the 90 turned in, trying to make him run the bottom, and Josh wasn't going to run the bottom, but...
Actually, just give me one moment here. I want to take a look from another angle.
Man, the 11
just to
and the
see
2.
if it is a clear cut down. It looks like it.
Oh, yeah, the 90 definitely turned down. He was trying to make the 56 run the bottom. There's no doubt about it.
I just want to see if there's net code in this. Doesn't look like it, no.
No net code. Great job by everybody missing him. The 11 got into the back of the 2. The 2's got no front damage. A little bit of rear damage on the 2. The 11's pretty good as well. So no harm, no foul in the spin. Just the track position loss there for Josh.
So a tally was issued to the 90 of Scott Crump. He is going to protest it, which, as I told him, is well within his right as a driver. All drivers have the right to protest their tallies throughout the event, but we are currently on caution number 6, 73 laps to go. Lights are still on the iRacing.com pace car. Ethan Burrell, David Tooker, Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Stanley, Garrison Hogan, the top 5, and that's followed by Tyler Fody, Jeff Green, Scott Crump, Leighton Norgard, and Tate Lytle. And just to point out, once again, Lytle did start at the tail of the field due to a banner violation. So great gain so far by Tate Lytle.
Yeah. Tate just dodged that last bullet there, too.
Absolutely. You know what? You mentioned that, Chris, so let's I was going to say we'll go on board. Lights are off on the pace car. I was going to say we can talk to one of our drivers here tonight, but not necessarily seeing a driver that would hop up here for an interview. No, we're going to go green anyway, so we'll put that note aside. Burrell once again taking the inside lane, took her up on the high side. Frankenfield on the inside of row number 2, Stanley up on that top side, Hogan and Fody in row number 3. The pace car getting set to make his way towards pit lane here this time. Chris Wright, why don't you walk us through this restart with Ethan Burrell at the controls?
Yeah, here we go. Green flag is out. Burrell gets a great jump up at the front. He's going to get clear. Chad leaving the fight on the bottom there.
And fight he did. Nearly into the side of the David Tooker machine. Chad Frankenfield blinks. That got a little bit sketchy right there on the inside of Ethan Stanley. I thought we were about to lose Chad Frankenfield and potentially others as his car got a little bit sideways there with that blink. Does look like it's solidified, which is always a positive here. Watching a little bit further back, Jeff Green on the inside. That's Tate Lytle up on that top side. Lytle and Green were duking it out for 8th and 9th. Now Green falling back into the clutches of a Leighton Norgard. Norgard was taking a look there, but now Trey Holmes going to go to his outside. Holmes going to get the advantage and move himself into position number 10 here as they come off of turn number 4.
Yeah, it's single file for the first 10 or 12 guys there. And then first battle is Leighton Norgard, Johnny Thomas, right around 12th place or so.
So as we can see out here...
Dustin Dewar's spinning. He's going to save it.
Good catch by Dusty. Able to gather it back up. Goes for a bit of a blink there. But all will be A-OK for Dustin Dewar. And for those of you keeping score at home, all meatball required damages have been repaired, so nobody currently serving mandatory repairs on pit road. Jeff Green, like you mentioned, hits the wall, now falls back. There goes Matthew Weeks to his inside. Josh Adams going to catch up and work his way by as well. So Green was running solidly inside the top 10, now falls towards the rear of the top 15. Currently scored 13th. I want to give a shout out here to Johnny Thomas. He's currently scored in that 10th spot, our biggest mover thus far, up 17 positions on the day. That's actually tied with Tate Lytle, who is also up 17 spots, but technically 21 for Tate Lytle as he started right at the rear of the field.
Yeah, and Johnny's running right there, not far behind Tate. Probably just threw a rope out there and is attached to Tate. Just can't see it. Right now, everybody behind Tate is stacked up pretty hard. Johnny Thomas trying to go past Trey Holmes. He might give a spot up because of that. If he can't pass Trey Holmes, he's going to probably lose a spot to Matthew Weeks, maybe more. Well, it didn't get a good drive off of 2. Now he's fighting to hang on. And both those cars. Green, I'm gonna tell you what. Josh Adams was showing Jeff Green, hey, you can run a little higher. I'm gonna try to get to your outside up here. And Jeff saw Josh trying to do that to him, and he did it to Matthew Weeks. That was good stuff right there. He said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
Jeff
that's what he did to
Green.
me. I'm gonna do this guy."
Jeff Green trying to see what he can do to get by that Trey Holmes machine now. Did get by Matthew Weeks. Frankenfield continuing to blink. They're currently running in the 4th position. It hasn't been too much of an issue thus far, Chris, but if it does progress in the wrong direction, that could be a game changer for the 15 of Frankenfield as well, which could end up costing him some spots on the racetrack. But looks like it's okay as Braxton DeWeese gets into the outside wall in his number 27. I think he was trying to get up there where the drivers ahead of him have been running, but not quite able to do so. Matthew Weeks trying to rip the high side, taking a page out of the Jeff Green book of Bristol.
Yeah, Josh went to the bottom to try to make a pass, and he's backing up.
50 laps remaining here now, 49 for Ethan Burrell. Burrell has been the guy to beat here all day long. Started on the pole, hasn't really looked back whatsoever. I think he lost maybe 2 laps of leading to Brandon Key, and Key just barely had the lead at one point during the process of getting a lap back. So Ethan Burrell just absolutely dominant here tonight. And speaking of Brandon Key, Key is not too far ahead of the Ethan Burrell machine. That's Gerald Campbell just ahead of him. Campbell fresh off pit road, currently scored numerous laps down. Gerald Campbell 61 laps in the rear of the leaders currently, as Ethan Burrell closing in on the 20 of Brandon Key. Goes to the high side of Key. Key falls back. We have a heated battle here between Matthew Weeks and Braxton DeWeese. DeWeese up on the high side, Weeks down low. They're trying to get up to the Jeff Green machine, see if they can get by him. A late Norgard just behind them. Norgard trying to work his way forward. Currently scored 13th. Looking to the outside of playoff driver Matthew Weeks. Of course, Norgard just eliminated last week from the playoffs here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. And again, check out rebilasphoto.com for all your photography needs. Norgard going to get the spot here from Weeks. Move a late Norgard to 12th. DeWeese just ahead. Weeks on the inside. DeWeese gets into the outside wall once again. He's trying to push it very, very hard here to get by Jeff Green and work his way back forward. DeWeese, of course, also eliminated last week from the playoffs, but still here hunting trophies and showing these drivers that he is going to be one of the drivers to beat here in Elite for a long, long time. As we hop back up towards the front of the field, Burrell still leading by 0.6 of a second over David Tooker, 1 second ahead of Ethan Stanley, 1.7 over Tyler Fode, 1.9 over Chad Frankenfield, who now has Garrison Hogan and Scott Crump just behind him. Tate Lido getting by the lap
Gerald
traffic.
Campbell,
Go ahead.
Brandon Key falling back into this group of cars right now that are racing really hard. Matthew Weeks was all the way up behind Jeff Green, pulled down to try to pass him. Weeks lost everything when he went to the bottom.
This is what may end up changing the race a little bit here, Chris, because like you mentioned, these drivers all racing very hard towards the rear. We just saw some tank slappers by Johnny Thomas, Braxton DeWeese, and I believe in Leighton Norgard also giving a little bit of a kiss to the wall. We're coming up on Justin Fuller now. So what we're doing is introducing more and more lap cars into the fray. Fuller going to stay up on the high side this time. So once it cycles through, if Fuller does stay up top, that's going to have lap cars on the high side and the low side, as Fuller opting to go now to the bottom, which is definitely a big help for the leaders. Scott Crump telling Chad Frankenfield that he's jumping on the racetrack, which from my point of view, Chris, that is false. I'm not sure if you see Chad jumping? Because if you do,
I
let
just
me know.
went up to look, and I'm not even seeing him blink right now, so I'm gonna watch as well and see what I can see.
I think it might be a bit of a
passing Stanley.
Yeah, Fody is getting by Stanley. Yes, they're teammates, and Fody's the team owner, but at the end of the day, they're battling it out for a title, which Fody wants to be able to lock himself now into that final round, and he may have the opportunity to do that tonight. He entered tonight 38 points to the good, and if he's able to build on that, I think he might have a chance to lock himself in and not have to worry about the rest of the round, even though his points buffer still pretty good, even if he's not locked in yet.
And Scott did get around Chad there. Chad looks like he's struggling with some drive off. It looks like that thing got
Tires are starting to go away. These drivers are pushing it a little bit harder than they were earlier today, as we do see Braxton DeWeese hard into the outside wall. Once again, Brandon Key mentioning that he's having some issues with the temperatures in his race car, so watch for the Brandon Key machine to head pit side here. Ethan Burrell continuing to lead as he's going to come around. Just 30 laps remaining. It's Burrell, Tooker, Fody, Hogan, and Stanley, the top 5, followed by Crump.
Well, maybe 30. We might get some green-white checkers. And where are we at on the over-under? It was 10, right? And I took the over?
It was 10, and I believe we're at 6. So,
oh, man.
It's still possible, Chris. I said 15.
I think we've had more than 6. Some of those have to be running together, right? We got to be close to 10.
No, we got 6. Lap 1, lap 8, lap 42, lap 50, lap 91, and lap 99. So we are.
Well, we still got time.
We'll get just about 50 laps into this run. As you see, that is Trey Eidson and Jaden Racimus side by side, currently running 19th and 20th. Trey Eidson trying to get as many spots as he can to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit in the points, because he does have Ethan Burrell coming up behind him. But that's one thing to watch for Burrell. You're coming up on 2 cars that have been involved in a couple incidents tonight. Racimus has gone around twice this evening. Once wasn't his fault. Once was. As he drops to the inside, that actually got a little bit closer than I think Ethan Burrell would have liked, as we're coming around to 25 to go. This is Alexander Ned's favorite point of the race. Trey Eidson up into the wall. Not sure who blew up. Maybe someone sitting on pit road. Potentially the Casey Hatch machine. I'm thinking it's the Casey Hatch machine, Chris. And yes, it is. A meatball flag has just appeared for Casey Hatch. So a driver that has been sitting down there on pit road since lap number 9 has had the engine expire, as Eidson lets Burrell know that he is clear. Ethan Burrell going to jump up ahead of Trey Eidson. Eidson scored 19th now on off 1 lap down. Garrison Hogan scored 2nd behind Ethan Burrell. Tyler Fody 3rd, but he is under pressure from David Tooker. Tooker trying to get by
Braxton
Fody.
DeWeese and Johnny Thomas in the wall down here.
DeWeese in the wall again. A late Norgard takes to the inside, nearly
15
contact.
Massive blanks here. Massive blanks out of the 15 all of a sudden.
Watching that 15 of Frankenfield. Looks like it's solidified once again here, Chris, as we do see Jeff Green and Matthew Weeks side by side. Once again, it's Weeks on the inside. Jeff Green up on the high side. Green going to fall back a little bit here, as Tate Lytle catching up to the Chad Frankenfield machine. Lytle going to try to work his way up to that 9th spot, as Matthew Weeks does clear Jeff Green here. Frankenfield up top. It's Tate Lytle down low. 20 laps to go. Trey Holmes looks to the inside of John Cutlip. I counted Cutlip out a while ago here, Chris, because he was running at the rear. Didn't look like he really had anything here tonight. Nearly went a lap down. Now he's on the inside of Ethan Stanley. Stanley currently holding on to that 6th spot as Cutlip gets by. Stanley gets the wall. He's going to pull Trey Holmes with him. Trey Holmes on the inside of Ethan Stanley. Stanley bleeding a little bit more. Go ahead.
He might be the best tire saver in Elite. And he saves too good. He needs to get a little bit of pace on the short run, and be able to still have that tire.
See, and I'm the opposite.
If he was able to have a little bit more pace on the short run, I think he'd win a lot more races.
See, and I'm the opposite. I have the short run pace, but long run, it's absolutely gone because I can't save tires worth the heck. As Trey Holmes does clear Ethan Stanley, Matthew Weeks going to take to the inside of Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield gets a little bit slideways up on that high side, gets up into the
Are you
marbles.
seeing Tate Lytle too? Tate is, it's like they put dirt down for Tate. That car is really sideways, trying to leave the corners.
Yeah,
But he's
Tate
still better
Lytle
than Chad
trying
right
to
now.
get up there. He's got Jeff Green just behind him. Matthew Weeks blinks that time. Now he's able to continue on. Ethan Stanley trying to chase down Trey Holmes and John Cutlip. Looking up towards the front here. Looks like David Tooker has Scott Crump all over his rear end. That's your battle for 4th and 5th.
There goes Chad with another blank.
Frankenfield is falling back. Tate Lytle slideways once again as Weeks takes to the inside of Ethan Stanley. Stanley takes to the wall once again. The right side of that 92 machine going to fall off. Blue Egg Marketing might need to invest in a new wrap for that 92 car. Ethan Burrell guiding the lap traffic. I believe it's Vincent Isabella up ahead of Ethan Burrell. Yes, it is Burrell catching
I think we got to
up.
give a warning here to the 15.
15 already understands about his blinking issue, but I will let him know once again that it seems to be picking up.
Here comes Tate trying to get around Chad.
Tate to the inside of the 15 of Frankenfield. Frankenfield
But look
up
at
on the
Tate.
high
Look at how
side.
loose he is trying to leave the bottom.
Yeah, Tate's definitely battling that car right now. He's going to take to the inside once again, but you just see the rear end stepping out of that thing. Jeff Green gets to his inside. I do wonder if potentially there's some sort of a steering issue with that too, as him and Jeff Green nearly come together.
I
The
think
two
issue
and the
with that too
former
is the
two.
right rear is used up. I think that's the only
Look at the
issue.
left rear as well here, Chris. When he comes around, the left rear has some damage, so it
Well,
may be
that's
kind
from
of.
that earlier wreck.
I think it's skewing the steering out a little bit. I do want to point out here, Garrison Hogan is in certain portions of the racetrack closing the gap on Ethan Burrell. I think Burrell overall is a little bit stronger here tonight, but Garrison Hogan trying to close that gap in the closing stages here, about 1.1 seconds back now, 1.2 as we come around. We're going to face 6 to go this time by.
And I think now if we get one caution, we'll get 3 or 4. Oh, Tate Lytle. What a save by Tate. That's going to get him 3 wide.
Tate up into the wall. Jeff Green gets by. Leighton Norgard and Braxton DeWeese coming by as well. Frankenfield's blinking does continue here. 5 laps to go. Ethan Burrell out front of Garrison Hogan. The gap is 1.2 seconds. Hogan has a large gap over Tyler Fode.
Oh, Chad Frankenfield's around. He's blinked, and Jeff Green's involved.
Chad Frankenfield comes around, and we have a caution. And he is blinking worse and worse here. Wow.
Can't even see the guy out there.
He is towed back to the pits. The 15 of Frankenfield.
I think Jeff could have missed him too, but he was blinked out.
Frankenfield just loses it in the corner here on lap 171.
And then as soon as he lost it, he disappears, so Jeff has no clue what's going on. And I think that's part of the reason Jeff couldn't miss him. Leighton Norgard gets involved as well.
All right, Chris, the tally was just issued to Frankenfield there.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Who takes 4? Who takes 2?
What we're going to do is we're going to let them come off pit road, and then we'll send it just quickly
We have
to our friends at
Cutlip
TA
stays
Services.
out. Weeks has stayed out. Leighton Norgard has stayed out.
Staying out as well.
2 tires on Garrison Hogan. 2 tires on Tyler Fode. 2 tires Scott Crump. 2 tires David Tooker. Burrell comes
Ethan
out
Burrell
before.
loses so many positions and mentions to Frankfield that he hates him. So that's not very nice, but we're going to send to TA Services and we'll
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here at Bristol. It's the Bristol 175. We are coming to a green-white checkered here. This is caution number 7. Matthew Weeks, the control car, is up top. Leighton Norgard on his inside. Great
jump for
start
Weeks.
here for Weeks.
Oh, the 12 spins the tires. It's going to jack up
we're
Ethan
wrecking.
Burrell, Braxton DeWeese. Josh Adams, Ethan Burrell, the dominant car of the night, led every lap all night, and he is sitting
Wow.
backwards in turn 1.
Wow.
And joining us in the booth now for this green-white checkered is Nick Massey.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah, looks like I joined at a crazy time.
So it looks like, so what we had here was our front row stayed out, and then everybody back to the 90 was on 2 tires. So the 12 is going to get a bad start. He's going to get hit by the 1. Stacks up the 19, the 37, 27. Got the 56 down there. Jesse Racimas gets in there. I told you, Robert. We still had plenty of time to use all those green-white checkers. I didn't care how long that green flag run was. So what do you think, Nick? Have you been able to watch any of this tonight?
Yeah, but I wanted to race this thing with these guys tonight, but had to go drop off my car at the shop. Check engine light came on, so getting that checked out. So bummed I missed it though. It's been looking like a great race, a lot of green flag runs, and
Yeah, it's been pretty good, Nick. Like you mentioned, a lot of green flag runs. Only 8 cautions here thus far. We've had 2 green flag runs of 50-plus laps. So definitely solid racing thus far. Really unfortunate, though, for the drivers such as Ethan Burrell that just got caught up in really just being an innocent bystander out on the racetrack. He went down pit road, could have potentially taken 2 tires, opted not to, and just unfortunate there. But Chris, why don't you walk us through what's happened so far here and maybe get Nick's opinion on some Bristol racing?
Well, like Nick said, it's been pretty clean. You know, we were talking over under cautions at the start. I'm not sure where we are now. I think we're sitting at 8 or 9 now. And I told you, you know, with 20 to go, I said, hey, There's still plenty of time. They'll use all 3 green, white checkers. Well, we're getting ready to use number 2 here, so we'll see what happens. The 11's on 2 tires. The 40, the 90, I believe they're also on 2 tires. I'm going to check the 92 here. I'm not sure if he's on 2 or 4. The 92 could very well be the first car on 4. Nope, 92 is on 2. I believe the 12, he got 2 as well. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, the 12 stayed out. He was the guy that stayed out and was the trigger car that last caution. My bad there. Everybody at home laughing at me and talking to me about how crazy I am right now.
But yeah, just tuning in, hopping in right now. From what I've seen, looks like that 37 Ethan Burrell's been pretty much class of the field all night, and so feel bad for him right there getting taken out because it looked like he had this thing all but wrapped up there coming to the closing laps of this thing. But it's just the craziness of sometimes of these short tracks. You get that late race caution. You got a lot of guys back there that are running, looking to improve their position, taking some pit strategy that the leaders didn't, and kind of just way the cards fall sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't think 4 tires can win this race right now without another caution because Tate Lytle's the first car on 4 tires. So I don't see that working out for Tate. Well, maybe Tooker. Tate or Tooker. Either way, 8th or 9th as we're getting ready to come around and get this restart. Weeks is taking the top. It's going to put Stanley behind him.
As we are getting set to go green once again, Matthew Weeks with another great jump up there on the high side.
Oh, we're going to wreck right here off of 2. Garrison Hogan, Ethan Burrell, Trey Eitzen. I believe that all. I think if
caution
I'm the 12,
once
I'm
again.
tires.
Hogan's broke. He's done.
This 12 is really struggling on his no tires, and it's what's that make us for cautions? Can we get a caution number?
Caution 9.
Caution 9. So the 12's going to come up and catch Garrison there. Get into Dusty. Let's take a look at Garrison. Then Trey's going to get involved once again. Burrell once again. Man, it was a great night for all the playoff guys except for Justin Fuller. Trey had his issues, but he had recovered. And now... Oh my goodness, there was a wreck after they were trying to pull away at the same time. Look at Garrison and Trey Heighton. They get everything's good, and they start pulling away at the same time and hit head on the backstretch. Oh my goodness. You ever seen anything like that, boys?
I have not seen a wreck while trying to drive away from the wreck in a long time.
Yeah, I didn't even know it until I was letting it play through, and then all of a sudden, there they were. Just went right head on. So all of a sudden, Justin Fuller, Chad Frankenfield, they're getting bailed out a little bit by all the playoff guys having trouble.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like a staggered 3 wide situation there. Looks like Garrison was trying to shoot the middle on the 12. The 12 wasn't sure if he was quite there, and they all come together.
And I believe we are here, and the 12 has decided that he's going to get tires. I think it's a little bit late for some of these other guys liking. What do you say, Nick?
Yeah, I think these guys that stayed out are looking pretty good right now.
All right,
Well,
so
the 12 stayed out, and
he
was too cautious too long on him not getting tires.
Hi, race control here. The previous 2 incidents have both been issued as domino effect racing deals. Unfortunate, can't really put the blame on anybody. Drivers are trying different strategies. They're not necessarily running each other over. It's just a huge difference in speed. Drivers coming together, and unfortunately it happens. I do want to give an update, though, on the lap 177 restart. A severe damage penalty was issued to the 07 of Jaden Racimus because after they took the wave around and caught the field, he drove square into the side of the 55 of Justin Fuller. So severe damage penalty issued to the 07 of Jaden Racimus.
Now, how can you decide what's severe damage to that 55 and what's not, since, you know, his night ended pretty early there with the
Severe damage is just kind of what it's ruled under, Chris.
I don't think he's had a spoiler or a deck lid all night.
Severe damage is just what it's ruled under as the ruling in the rule book. Major impact under caution, I guess we could say.
So there's no way we're getting the over. Oh, Dustin Dewar's got an issue here. He's pulling out of line.
Oh, we could definitely get the over here. Is Dewar?
Well, there's only time for one more. This is third attempt. Caution comes out, it's over as the pace car's off. Weeks gets a good jump. Do we see the white flag, the checkered flag, or do we see the yellow flag? Here goes Ethan Stanley. Side by side for the lead down into 3 and 4.
Stanley on the inside. Burrell up on the high side. Crump behind him.
Oh, Crump
goes
gets turned
around.
by Tucker. Caution's out. Tucker,
White flag's
Crump,
out.
Josh Adams.
White flag and caution at the same time. Ethan Stanley. Ethan Stanley scored as the winner here.
Absolutely incredible.
Let's take a look at this one here.
It's like possibly a little help there from the 19.
And Scott Crump's not happy with the way that all just shook out there. So we'll get an update here on the results. So this finish is going to have to be reviewed after it's over.
It kind of looks like the 11 had a little slip or something in the middle of 3 and 4 there, and 90 had to get out of gas a little bit, and 19 just out in the back of the 90.
Yeah, so the 11 checked up, the 90 cut him a break. Tucker being the first guy on 4 tires, I believe. Just not much he could do right there. Just hit him, churned him. Didn't do it on purpose. That's just being the first guy on 4 tires. It's really difficult when they check up. And so the 90 goes around. Then the 19 gets collected. Ethan Burrell gets collected. Josh Adams, Gerald, they came in here wrecking hard too behind him. Okay, I think we got some scoring to figure out here, Robert.
There is some scoring to figure out, but we do know the top 3 is Stanley, Weeks, and Fody. Definitely a tough one here, guys. But we're gonna throw it to a quick commercial, but we'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.
And joining me in the booth now is Tyler Fody, third place finish. Tyler, for about, I don't know, 85% of this race, it was straightforward, pretty easy, nothing crazy. And, well, talk us through what happened in that part and then break down the end there.
Yeah, the tonight the setup was just it was different from any setup we've had before. Running this car here, it was way looser, and just made it really hard to pass. So basically, that first hole, like 3/4 of the race, we were kind of just having to wait till tires fell off, and then whoever had saved the most pretty much was going to be the only one to be able to pass. So that's what we were doing the first little bit there, and then it kind of got crazy with all the cautions. And then depending on what line you were on, kind of going forward or backwards there. So we kind of lucked out a little bit and dodged a couple wrecks. And then right at the end there, we figured we'd all take 2 tires to see what happened, but some people just stayed out. And yeah, I kind of got on a bad line there. Had we not wrecked the last time, I think I would have had it, but we had one more restart. But no, I'll take third.
Yeah, it was crazy there at the end. Talk us through what that's like as a driver when you got people staying out, you got people in 2, people in 4, especially after a long run, and it being a high wear racetrack. So what's that like you kind of were right in the middle there. You were better than guys in front of you, and you were worse than guys behind you. What's that like, and how defensive are you driving?
Yeah, I mean, with the old tires out in front of you, it was really just going to be a lap or 2 to get by them. We just never really got that chance. And then I kind of had some space with a couple guys still on 2 tires behind me, so I wasn't really worrying about the guys back there on 4. Just kind of depended on what line we were going to get there, and I ended up getting a bad spot with the last restart.
Yeah, and real quick before we let you jump out of here, great start to this round for the playoffs for you. A lot of guys had some trouble tonight, but are there any shout outs you want to give, sponsors you want to thank?
Well, yeah, the team, like Norman, had a pretty good run. Ethan obviously winning the thing, which kind of surprised me. I think he was like right around 10th the whole night, and then right at the end there, we all decided to take 2, and worked out pretty well for him. Shout out to Scout also. He was running pretty good there too and just got taken out. But I think we'll be all right with points and how it's going to realign here. And yeah, shout out to iWraps, Blue Egg Marketing, Stay Tuned Sports, everyone that's on the cars, and shout out to you guys for being in the booth.
Well, Tyler, congrats on the top 3. Like you said, it was a good night for Lake Norman. Obviously, not great there the way it ended for Scott Crump, but overall the team had a good night and Scott had pace, so I'm sure that you'll go next week and have a solid run and get Scott locked in.
That's the plan, yeah.
All right, that's Tyler Fody, our third place finisher here tonight. Now standing by our runner-up, Matthew Weeks with Chris Wright.
Well, Weeks, it was pretty straightforward. Yeah, talk us through the first part of the race. Well, the first 160 laps? We saw you work in the bottom, and we saw Trey work in the bottom. So what were you guys just saving tires, trying to bide your time and wait for long runs that really didn't happen?
Yeah, I was really hoping we would get a longer in here, but it's like we never can go over 40 laps apparently. So I know later in the race I was like, I just gotta stop doing it. I was just giving more positions than I was getting back in the later part. So, but yeah, we needed long runs. I felt like we were good on the long run. I know the last one we had, I drove back up to 8th, so that's all I needed, dude.
Yeah, and so talk to me about those last 3 or 4 restarts there. Did you guys get a feeling as drivers that once that caution came out that it was gonna go completely crazy and flip on its head?
With a late race like that, going to the green, white, checkered, 95% of the time we finish under yellow. So yeah, I knew what it was going to be.
Yeah, we had some idea too when you guys pulled off a pit road when guys stayed out. You had guys on. Everybody had different kinds of tires. I think, I'd like to try to find somebody who took 3 tires right there because then everything would have been covered.
Oh, I bet, dude. Yeah, Stanley just told me he took 2. It was a miscommunication. I heard Ethan was saying something. Burrell was telling me like I thought he said stay out, and Robert was talking over the mic talking about the wreck, so I kind of missed what he said. So I stayed. John and I just misheard him, and we both stayed out. And I was like, screw it, dude. I made my bed. I'm just gonna stick it out. And John pitted, so I tried.
Yeah, it was. And so, talk to us about this. Is the first race in this round. You had a good race, and a lot of other playoff guys did not. As you know, it was actually pretty good for all the playoff guys until that late race shenanigans. So, what's your outlook here on the next two races and making the final round?
I knew tonight this is my weakest track. This is one track I'm not very good at. So I just wanted a top 10, dude. To walk out here with the P2 is huge, and Fuller having a bad race and Ethan getting, I guess something happened with him and Crump and him falling back. That really jumped me up. So just to come out here with the P2 with probably above the cut line now, going probably to like two of some of my best tracks, Auto Club where I won a championship. I always feel like I run good there, and oh, Legacy Atlanta, dude, that's like one of the best tracks to race. So I'm excited, dude. I'm glad I'm above the cut line. I think my chances are pretty high.
Well, and before we let you jump out of here, we want to give you a chance to shout out your sponsors and any shout outs you want to give.
Shout out to you guys. I know y'all sit up here sometimes in these caution field races, man. It takes a bit, so, and you and Robert do a hell of a job. And shout out to Chad for running the league, JV Designs, JD Designs, 213 Simware, Betty who's watching the home at Ethan's, all the Pro Edge guys, Fueled Up, Austin over there. Everyone that's just a part of this group, man. It just makes it fun racing. I feel bad for Ethan tonight, dude. It was his win, dude. He dominated, and that late race caution screwed him. So luckily he was able to come out with at least a decent finish. So hopefully he's above the cut line. But shout out to all the other guys too. We ran a pretty good race.
And congrats on the run, Matthew. We look forward to seeing you next week and trying to see you race for a championship. It should be exciting. Like you mentioned, Legacy Atlanta. So we're going to see high tire fall off next week as well.
Yeah, my best because I'm good at the tire saving. So let's get it.
All right, that was your runner-up tonight, Matthew Weeks. Now standing by is your race winner, Ethan Stanley.
Well, Ethan, I have been a little bit critical. I've said you've lost a step in oval racing this season. I love it. Ethan's like, I know. I've heard what you said.
I heard your comments at Dover.
So Ethan, I've stated multiple times that you've fallen off oval racing. I even thought so tonight. I didn't think it was a great race. I thought I've seen you do better at the ovals. Really. But all the chaos at the end, you got the win. So talk to us about your night and ultimately how you ended up winning the thing.
Yeah, beginning of the night, I knew coming in, I don't like Bristol. It's not one of my favorite tracks for sure. Set myself a goal, just finish the race, don't wreck, and that's what I did. Just went out there and ran my pace. Couldn't really save the tires, but at the end, I was just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and you didn't have to save tires. You just needed all the chaos at the end, right? It worked out pretty well for you and your team outside of Crump. I know Crump's pretty frustrated, but overall, it could have been a lot worse there for Lake Norman at the end. We all thought another Ethan was going to win it. He dominated the thing, and then he wrecked twice in the last three restarts. So how did you manage to avoid all that with just two tires on your car?
I really don't know. I mean, I was pretty fast on a single lap, so I knew if I got in the right spot, I could just get past Weeks at the end. Avoiding the chaos was really just like avoiding Chad. He was blinking all over the place, trying to make moves when he really couldn't. It was just a chaotic race. It's Bristol. Just survive, make it to the end, and then you can figure out something.
And what's your outlook for the rest of this round, knowing that you're locked into the next one?
Well, the next round's the finale, right?
Is it? I think so. Maybe. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Racing for a championship, right?
Yeah.
So are you already ready to go and start trying to plan out how to race for a championship and throw out these next 2 weeks?
I guess. I mean, I like Richmond. I should run pretty decent there. It's just going to be another case of keeping the car in one piece and just staying up there at the end.
And so are you going to try to win these next two races? You're just going to go out and go for broke and try some different things? Like, I say that, and you called two tires tonight. I wasn't sure if that was going to work, and then we had some guys stay out. I mean, it was kind of crazy and chaotic there with all the different strategies.
Yeah, I'm just going to go for broke. I mean, I might as well try to win the other two races as much as I can. But I know Fody and Crump are going to try to, locked themselves in. Fody pretty much already is.
And
yeah,
will
it
you
should
be
be
ripping the
interesting.
fence next week?
Maybe.
Legacy Atlanta, come on, you gotta get up and run the fence all race for us. You're locked in, right?
I
Just
thought
get up
we
and
were
run
at
the ball.
Auto Club.
Oh, is it Auto Club?
Yeah.
Auto Club and then Legacy Atlanta, then Richmond. All right, next 2 races, Ethan, just rip the fence every lap. We promise we'll give you all kinds of TV time.
All right.
All right, Ethan, congrats on the win. Congrats on being the first guy locked in to race for a championship in 4 weeks.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And also a big shout out to Blue Egg Marketing and IRAPS for being on the team this season, and just big shout out to all the guys at Lake Norman.
Yeah, and while you're here, why don't Lake Norman? You guys need to do something to differentiate your paint schemes. Y'all look the same.
Next season we'll have something.
Somebody needs some flames on that thing. All right, give somebody some flames. Maybe put a rainbow on one of them.
Maybe. Well,
I mean, I
next
think that
season we
worked
have
out pretty
something
good
cooking.
for a Hall of Fame driver.
Damn, he's locking you into the Hall of Fame, Ethan.
I wouldn't say I'm that
Look
good.
at look at you.
I'm just saying the flames will make him better at ovals.
Guy
Ethan's
goes
kind
from
of
his
flat
first,
on
It'll
the
help the
oval.
car go faster.
Yeah,
Guy goes from his
flames just
first
make-
stock car win to Hall of Fame in less than a year. Damn.
It's the way it is sometimes.
Absolutely.
I won Ethan's championship trophy in Arco. It's great. It still sits on the shelf.
I hope
It's even got your name on it, Ethan. You had all those wins that season. Well, all right, Ethan. Congrats on the win. We look forward to seeing you race for a championship and seeing if any of your Lake Norman teammates can join you in there.
All right, thank you, Chris. See you around.
Well, Chris, that was our race winner, Ethan Stanley, and it was an up and down race here at Bristol today, and the results that you did see on your screen and you do see on your screen now are unofficial. There's going to be some modifications based on the timing of the caution coming out. So
I believe we've got an official list here, right?
I'm
looking at it.
We do have the official list here. It's Ethan Stanley, Matthew Weeks, Tyler Fody, as we know, followed by Ethan Burrell, Johnny Thomas, Tate Lytle, Trey Holmes, Garrison Hogan, John Cutlip, Vincent Isabella.
Man, what a recovery for Vincent. We
Wow.
saw him laps down in a wreck. all kinds of
Isabella,
stuff.
Adams, Norgard, Jaden Racimus, David Tooker, Scott Crump, Dustin Doer, Brandon Key, Justin Fuller, Braxton DeWeese, Jeff Green, Chad Frankenfield, Tyler Pop, Jesse Racimus, Gerald Campbell, Dave Carpenter, Joe Francis, Casey Hatch, and Seth Rawls. That is your unofficial official standings here in tonight's race, but that'll just about do it from Bristol. Any final thoughts from you, Nick Massey? I know you only joined us for like 2 minutes. You got some thoughts?
No, just definitely congrats to Ethan being the first one to lock himself into the Final Four. Can't wait to see who the remaining 3 drivers are. They're going to duke it out for a championship here in about a month's time here at Richmond. Came in a little late, but it looked like a good race up to those closing laps there, and then got a little crazy. But
It was a great race right up until you walked in the door.
I know, I'm bummed I wasn't out there.
Yeah, you were
But-
supposed to be. You look like you started joining the server and just never made it in.
I did.
I'm too busy bowling or playing cornhole or whatever it is you do. Are you going to join us Wednesday on the track?
Where are we at Wednesday?
Oh, don't ask me questions.
Come
Dover?
on, Robert, you're supposed
right?
to know this.
Dover.
Dover, yeah, Dover.
Is it Dover? Maybe.
Yeah, it's Dover, 200 laps. We go Dover, then Iowa, then Homestead in the Cup Series. But this week, still to come on the Elite Racing Network, Wednesday night, as we just mentioned, Dave Huckleberry, Zach Evans, and Alexander Ned will bring you Cup Series action live from Dover. Then Thursday night, Chris Wright and I will be back up in the booth, and Nick, you should be on the racetrack that night, maybe, for the 90 minutes at the Glen in the Elite Sports Car Series. So that should be a good one. And then we'll kick back into Truck Series action next Sunday for, I believe it's the second race of the round of 14 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Of course, one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing League. So lots of racing action still to come this week. But Chris, final thoughts from you, Mr. Wright.
Well, I was pretty sure for about 170 laps that Ethan Burrell was going to win this race. And then, well, an elite short track race broke out, and everything was flipped over. And Ethan still won, but it was Ethan Stanley. So, man, it was crazy. We got some guys mad at each other, some rivalries rekindled, and some guys who are just going to be driving flat mad. And maybe somebody is both of those. But next week should be exciting. Going to Fontana, we're going to go from this little half-mile bull ring to a big old 2.5-mile racetrack that has about 17 lanes. So it should be exciting. Everybody should get spread out, and we should see a great race next week and a great race in Atlanta. So I'm excited to see where this thing goes, see who gets the race for a championship, and get to crown a champion here at the end of the month.
Absolutely. It's been a good season thus far. Another good race here tonight at Bristol. Unfortunate ending for Ethan Burrell, the driver that absolutely dominated this race, and for him not to come away with the win, definitely unfortunate. Is going to be scored with a top 5 finish, so still a bit of a silver lining, but for him, he just wanted to win, and it's unfortunate, but he'll bounce back next week, and that'll just about do it for us here tonight from Bristol. On behalf of Chris Wright, Nick Massey, Dave Huckleberry, Chad Frankenfield, all of our sponsors and admins here at Elite, my name is Robert Hill Jr. Thanks for joining us once again, and Chris and I will see you again Thursday night for sports car action live from Watkins Glen. Have a good night, everybody.